you and I got together and we did it much better, if I do say so
Agreed.
myself, than the original, making fun of that absurd atrocity that Netflix foisted upon us. And what we discovered, you and I,
Meghan Markle is facing renewed criticism after a controversial visit connected to Princess Diana's family brought an old question back into focus. Where should the line be drawn between personal memories and public attention? The issue became particularly sensitive because the location involved Diana's final resting place at Althorp.
Key new figures have revealed the true extent of Meghan Markle's financial disaster with the Was Never brand, as she seems to collapse.
According to comments made by Megyn Kelly during the discussion with Maureen Callahan, an unnamed source with an inside connection to the estate reportedly confirmed that Meghan and Harry were photographed in the area while making their way toward Diana's grave.
not everybody can do it. And Martha doesn't spew shit. Like she gives it straight. And so then the Duchess of Duplicity couldn't stand it. She was so pissed that Martha had taken a shot at her and told everybody that Meghan was mouthing off about her visit with the king, that she had her people, somebody, contact, it was in the Daily Mail, and report that, quote, Martha must have been confused because Meghan was not seated anywhere near Martha.
Kelly claimed that Charles Spencer, Diana's brother and the owner of the Althorp estate, had specifically wanted privacy around the grave and did not want publicity surrounding it. Those claims have fueled criticism because Diana's burial site has long been treated as a deeply private and significant place for her family. The controversy therefore became much larger than a single photograph, with critics questioning whether the couple respected the wishes reportedly communicated by the estate.
Well, guess what? Megyn Kelly dropping a bombshell with Maureen Callahan on the Megyn Kelly show overnight, revealing that it wasn't just Prince William too. The Spencers also horrified by this privacy breach. Watch.
The discussion then turned toward Charles Spencer and the assumption that he had approved the visit. That assumption was challenged when Kelly said her source indicated that Diana's brother was also unhappy about what had happened.
If that account is accurate, it would mean the controversy was not simply a disagreement between Meghan and members of the royal household. Charles Spencer belongs to Diana's side of the family, while Prince William and other members of the royal household represent the other side of that divide, making the reported reaction particularly significant.
I know somebody who's got an inside connection there, and that person confirmed for me that's exactly where they were. If they were, like, this is them on their way to Diana's grave. The one thing that the owner of the estate, Diana's brother, did not want them to do not publicize anything around the grave. But she's a disaster tourist who couldn't help herself.
Kelly and Callahan interpreted the situation as evidence that Meghan had crossed a boundary understood by both branches of Diana's family. But again, the strongest claims in the discussion came from commentators and their sources, so they should be understood in that context rather than treated as independently established facts.
Under the weight of berries. More berries. She's got to sell them, folks. The expiry dates are coming. We'll get to that in just one moment, but first, Megyn Kelly has dropped a bombshell. You know the picture of the children taken at Althorp, which we knew had disgusted and horrified Prince William?
The argument became even more pointed when the conversation shifted from privacy to Meghan's wider public image. Critics suggested that photographs connected to Diana could strengthen Meghan's personal brand because of the enormous public interest surrounding the late princess.
That interpretation also connects to the Sussexes' broader media strategy, where family history, royal relationships, and personal experiences have remained major subjects of public attention.
While we were making one pot chicken from Meghan Markle's stupid Netflix show, is that she stole it from Martha Stewart. The recipe was identical with like maybe one sprig of something that was different, but it was all but identical to Martha Stewart's one pot pasta. We made it. Wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad. And I think it wasn't bad because it came from Martha Stewart.
Exactly. Somebody who actually knows what she's doing in the kitchen. So Meghan Markle and Martha Stewart met. They met recently, and in a People interview dated August 3rd, Martha Stewart said she overheard Meghan Markle at a dinner party recently talking about a private family reunion she had with King Charles with Harry when they went over there. And Martha said she talked about it. She just gotten back and she talked about it. And that's the comment in which she said it's very hard to transition from a princess into a homemaking professional. Okay,
Harry is Diana's son, so his connection to her memory is unquestionably direct, while Meghan's connection comes through her marriage to him. Critics argue that this distinction makes public appearances at highly symbolic locations especially sensitive, because the imagery can carry a meaning far beyond an ordinary celebrity visit. Supporters, however, could argue that Meghan is simply participating in the life and history of her husband's family, which makes the question of intent much less straightforward.
Royal YouTube sensation Pete Diner with me now on this breaking news. Pete Diner, this is massive from Megyn Kelly because we knew about the absolute abject horror coming from Prince William about that, but this was no surprise. However, we thought, and maybe in some ways this was quite unfair of us in hindsight, we thought that Earl Spencer had agreed, had given the sort of tacit nod of approval.
There was also speculation about why the couple would document their time at Althorp at all. The discussion suggested that the material could potentially become part of future media projects involving Harry and Meghan.
That possibility was presented as speculation rather than confirmed fact, but it added another layer to the controversy because the Sussexes have built much of their post-royal public profile through documentaries, interviews, and other forms of media production.
She is her own worst enemy. I completely believe Martha Stewart's version of events because her version of events, Martha she made pains to say, listen, I don't know Meghan. I didn't even really speak to her. We weren't seated near each other, but this is what I heard. And this is in direct contravention of the King's edict about that meeting. And it is, it also kind of is this nice...
The concern raised by critics is that a private family location could become valuable precisely because of its emotional and historical significance. Whether that interpretation is justified depends on the actual purpose of the material and the permission surrounding it, neither of which is fully established by the claims discussed here. What is clear is that Diana's legacy remains one of the most powerful sources of public interest surrounding Harry and Meghan, and any appearance connected to her memory is therefore likely to attract intense scrutiny.
You know, to me, it just looks like Megyn wants to capitalize off of her connection to this royal family and to take all the things that are sacred and meaningful to this family and exploit it. I mean, we also have to remember she did the same thing by going by where Diana passed away in that tunnel. So Megyn doesn't have good intentions, ever.
While the debate over Althorp was unfolding, another problem was putting Meghan's business under scrutiny. Attention turned to As Ever and its growing focus on fruit spreads, particularly a new berry collection marketed around the summer season.
The collection reportedly included blackberry, raspberry, and strawberry spreads, sold together for $42, with promotional material showing Megyn picking fruit in a garden. The marketing presented the release as a natural celebration of berry season, but critics questioned whether the timing had another explanation. Alison Boschhoff of the Daily Mail was cited as suggesting that As Ever may have ordered more inventory than it could comfortably sell, leaving products with approaching best-before dates. That claim was used to support a much more serious allegation, that Meghan's company could potentially face substantial losses if its inventory remained unsold.
Absolutely. She has to show the world this because this is her brand. This is how she gets her worth. You know, and she doesn't care what people say when they say no. Her bottom line is, okay, I got to get the shot. This is about me making money. It's not about what I'm told I cannot do. It's always about what she wants to do. Because think of all the things that she was told that she could not do when the Queen was alive. She did it anyway. So she'll continue to do it. So no matter what, you've got to put things in black and white. You've got to make her sign that she won't do it. You can't just simply say, don't do this. You've got to have lawyers present. You've got to make it a deal on paper where she signs, because otherwise she'll do it. She doesn't care.
The figures discussed were striking, but they need to be understood carefully. The transcript presented estimates of potentially more than $5 million in losses connected to jam inventory, and another possible $1 million involving flour sprinkles.
Those numbers were presented as analysis rather than confirmed financial results from As Ever itself.
100%. Then we come to the catastrophe of the brand, P. Dinah, with these bombshell new figures, but it comes as she just becomes desperate to punt around her berries. This was the new was never pitch, where she's trying to say that it's because it's peak berry season, and that's the reason she's releasing this new berry medley trio. I don't think so, P. Dinah. It's actually because the expiry dates are running out and running out fast. As the Royalist Substack reported, blackberry, raspberry, strawberry. It's late summer here in Britain and over there in California, and the berries are ripe for the picking. Even Megyn, Duchess of Sussex, is getting her hands dirty. As ever, her online store is offering a trio for berry season, 3 jars of blackberry, raspberry and strawberry spread in a gift as vibrant as the season itself. It's all very, very nice and only $42. But still, I have to ask, is Megyn spreading herself too thinly? Plus, are the berries really her jam?
The company had not publicly released sales figures that would allow outsiders to determine its exact inventory position or profitability. What could be examined, however, was website traffic, and that offered a measurable way to assess the level of public interest in the business. According to figures attributed to Newsweek and royal editor Jack Royston, As Ever recorded about 126,655 website visits in July 2026. That was substantially lower than the roughly 268,000 visits reported for January, representing a decline of approximately 53%.
Harry and Meghan are openly discussing issuing a formal apology to the king, and what they may take responsibility for and what they may not. And, again, why the mainstream media won't just draw the direct correlation. Those two seem to be out of money. Harry's on the hook for a $63 million lawsuit he launched and lost. He launched it against all best advice, and he lost. And I also think this is why we're seeing more sniping through the likes of People magazine and the Daily Beast rather than the threats of lawsuits. They simply can't afford it anymore. So now they really want back in, and they're willing to play nice just when they need millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to survive.
That decline became central to the criticism because As Ever sells its products through its own website. Fewer visitors do not automatically mean fewer sales, but they do reduce the number of potential customers entering the store.
The same figures indicated that only about 3.34% of As Ever's website traffic came through social media, with Instagram identified as the primary social source. The company was also reported to ship only within the United States at the time, while approximately 31% of its July visitors came from the US, amounting to just under 40,000. Around 26% of those visitors were returning users, meaning the majority were new visitors.
I'm Jar-Mageddon. That is a really great phrase. I mean, look, this woman is sweating bullets with this jam. I mean, yes, she has to sell it very quickly because it's going to expire. And then what? I mean, seriously, Megyn, you can't learn. That's the problem. Has she listened to the people that were advising her? This would have never happened, Dan. And this is the problem with Megyn. She has to learn the hard way. And so she's going to learn by all this money that she has wasted on this jam. She's going to learn the hard way, surely, because it's going to be a complete waste of money. It already is. And it's a big lesson to learn. I mean, how could you? I mean, just think of the other products too. It's not just the jam, it's other things, the sprinkles, the honey, this woman has gotten in over her head. She thought her brand, her name, her title was going to sell all of these products, and she has completely...
Those numbers do not reveal how many products were actually purchased, but they do provide context for the argument that website traffic alone cannot be treated as proof of commercial success.
As Ever pushed back against that comparison. The company argued that raw website traffic is not the most meaningful measure for a consumer business.
The position attributed to the company was that customers, repeat purchases, and actual sales matter more than page views, particularly because traffic naturally rises when a product launches and then declines after the initial curiosity fades.
And then the Daily Beast reported on this saying, Megyn did something incredibly stupid here. She seems to have gotten the host of the party to call up People magazine and say that Martha's account was simply untrue and that Megyn did not talk about her European vacation other than to say the family had a great time. Worse, they called Martha confused, implying that Martha, 85, is a dotty old lady.
That is a reasonable distinction, because website visits and revenue are not interchangeable measurements. A business can have relatively modest traffic and still perform well if its conversion rate and repeat purchase rate are strong. The problem for outside observers is that without published sales data, it becomes difficult to independently determine whether the lower traffic reflects weak demand or simply a normal pattern for a developing consumer brand.
The comparison with royal websites added another dimension as Ever's traffic was placed alongside the websites associated with the royal family and the Sussexes themselves.
Traffic naturally rises around launches and then settles as the initial curiosity subsides. The focus is on building a sustainable brand and loyal customer base, not chasing page views. Now, the reason I've taken that approach, P. Diner, is because in July, As Ever recorded its lowest monthly web traffic of 2026 with 126,655 visits. Now that is down from 268,000 in January, a decline of 53%.
The figures cited in the discussion showed the official royal website receiving approximately 730,628 visits in July, compared with As Ever's 126,655. The comparison is not a direct business comparison because the royal family does not operate its official website as an online product store, but it does demonstrate the enormous reach of the monarchy as an institution. The Sussex's own Sussex.com website reportedly received around 71,184 visits during July, with a 6-month average of approximately 69,235. That site functions primarily as an information hub for Harry and Meghan's projects rather than as a commercial storefront, so its traffic also cannot be directly equated with As Ever's sales performance.
Another comparison involved Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop. Its reported July traffic was considerably higher than As Ever's, illustrating how established celebrity lifestyle brands can command a much larger online audience.
They may not want this out there, but that likely means sales have also declined 50%, if you see what I mean. Since January, visits have dropped in all but 1 month. Its 6-month average was 176,677 visits. All her social media traffic comes from Instagram, Royston reports, where both Meghan and As Ever as a company have accounts. Social traffic made up 3.34% of total traffic. As Ever currently ships only within the United States, and 31% of its July visits came from the US, totaling just under 40,000 visits. Around 26% were returning visitors, while 74% were new to the site.
Goop was reported at approximately 749,179 visits in July, while its 6-month average was presented as significantly higher. The broader point made in the discussion was that celebrity branding does not automatically translate into commercial success, simply because a person has enormous name recognition. Established lifestyle businesses typically build customer relationships over many years, while newer brands have to prove that attention can be converted into purchases, and more importantly, repeat customers. For As Ever, the absence of publicly available sales figures leaves an important part of that picture unknown, which means claims about financial failure or massive losses remain difficult to verify independently.
That uncertainty did not stop the commentators from drawing strong conclusions. Their focus shifted from the raw numbers to what those numbers might reveal about Meghan's expectations for the brand.
The transcript contrasted that expectation with established names such as Gwyneth Paltrow, whose commercial reputation has been developed over a much longer period. Whether that criticism is fair is debatable, but it highlights a genuine challenge facing any celebrity-founded consumer brand.
Offer some insight into the size of the audience interested in simply finding out about the couple and their activities. And guess what? It's not good news. The Sussex website visited just 71,184 times in July, with a 6-month average of 69,235 visits, some way below as ever. Now, Pete Diner, I do appreciate I've just given you a glut of information, but for me, the most important statistic, Pete Diner, is this, okay? It is the fact that in July, there were only 40,000 visitors to the site from the USA. So that's not 40,000 sales, P. Diner. That's 40,000 potential customers going to the website.
Publicity can generate an initial surge of attention, yet long-term performance depends on product quality, pricing, distribution, customer retention, and consistent demand. In As Ever's case, the available traffic data provides only one part of that equation, while the actual sales and inventory figures remain largely private.
The business controversy was not the only issue surrounding Meghan's public image. Attention soon shifted to a celebrity event involving David Foster, where another awkward moment began attracting attention.
Meghan and Prince Harry attended David Foster's 40th anniversary celebration, an event that brought together a number of well-known figures from the entertainment world.
Distraction. This is a controversy I feel Meghan wants, because she wants us to forget things that are very recent and much more of an obscenity, such as taking a photo of Harry and the children on what looks like their way to visit Diana's grave.
The evening generated discussion after footage appeared to show Foster giving Meghan little attention during a red carpet interaction, something critics interpreted as an obvious snub. The moment became particularly notable because Foster has previously been connected to Harry through their mutual musical and social circles, making the apparent tension more interesting to observers. Foster later offered an explanation publicly, but the footage had already created its own narrative online.
And you look at it and it just, to me, it just shows you how big Meghan's narcissism is. It really paints that picture, because when you look at the royal brand, you look at people like Gwyneth, these are brands that have been around for years. There's a whole history behind it. Years of cultivating people that are supporters of these different brands. Meghan is very new in what she has done here with her marriage and becoming a royal, by marriage. So it just shows you how she was so full of herself.
The situation became more complicated when another story from the same event emerged. It involved singer Pia Toscano, who was pregnant when she attended the celebration.
Toscano had worked with David Foster since 2017 and performed Feeling Good during the event. Afterwards, she approached Harry and Meghan at their table, where the couple reportedly congratulated her on her pregnancy and shared a warm exchange. Meghan reportedly touched Toscano's stomach and told her that pregnancy was the most beautiful time of her life, while Harry was described as helping her by moving a chair. On its face, the encounter was presented as a friendly and supportive interaction, but commentators quickly began discussing the etiquette surrounding pregnancy and personal boundaries.
That discussion became controversial because touching someone's pregnant stomach without first asking permission can be considered intrusive. Critics used the incident to question whether Meghan would have welcomed the same behavior during her own pregnancies.
It really does. And another example of that, P. Diner, may have actually come at this David Foster gala, which has been such a disaster for her, the snubbing on the red carpet, then the decision to push Catherine McPhee out the way so that she could start this flirting of David Foster. But now a very odd revelation about what Meghan Markle said to a pregnant singer. And obviously this is particularly odd, P. Diner, given all of the question marks about Meghan Markle's own pregnancies. So this is a singer called Pia Toscano. And the report is this: Prince Harry and Meghan Markle made a sweet impression at David Foster's 40th anniversary. This from page 6, by the way, in the New York Post.
The transcript then broadened the criticism beyond this single encounter and pointed to other reported tensions involving Meghan and prominent figures. Names such as Kris Jenner and Martha Stewart were brought into the discussion, along with David Foster, as examples of relationships that commentators believed had become complicated or uncomfortable. Those comparisons were largely opinion-based rather than evidence of a documented pattern involving every person mentioned.
and I've spoken to the pregnant singer Pia Toscano, who told Page Six about this touching moment between the Duchess of Sussex and her unborn baby. Toscano, who has worked with Foster since 2017, performed Feeling Good at the star-studded event. After, when she approached Harry and Meghan at the head table, Toscano tells us the As Ever creator touched her stomach, and the couple hugged her and offered congratulations. This is the most beautiful time of your life, Meghan told her. Toscano also recalled Gentleman Harry moving a chair for her. Now, what's very interesting to me about this P. Diner is I don't think Meghan Markle would have been particularly happy with a woman.
Still, they contributed to the larger image being constructed around Meghan, particularly among commentators who already viewed her public interactions with suspicion. The Foster incident also raised a different question about celebrity relationships. Why did a brief moment at a crowded event become such a major story?
Part of the answer is the extraordinary level of attention surrounding Harry and Meghan, where even a few seconds of footage can become the subject of intense analysis. A person who appears distracted, uncomfortable, or simply uninterested can suddenly become part of a much larger online narrative once cameras capture the interaction.
Disgusting.
100%.
Disgusting.
It did. That's what it was. I know somebody who's got an inside connection there, and that person confirmed for me that's exactly where they were. If they were like, this is them on their way to Diana's grave. The one thing that the owner of the estate, Diana's brother, did not want them to do not publicize anything around the grave. But she's a disaster tourist who couldn't help herself.
She's such a ghoul, Meghan. She's such a ghoul. And she's a child. With Meghan Markle, don't say the thing you don't want her to do. Don't give her ideas because she will do it. She will. And by the way, we've all dropped what was a major talking point mere months ago. Hey, go talk to your father, okay? Who's lost half of his leg. It was amputated and he was begging from his hospital bed. I would just love my daughter to call me. She's got ice in her veins. She's a reptile.
In this case, critics interpreted Foster's behavior as deliberate rejection, while other explanations were possible and later comments attempted to provide additional context. Without knowing exactly what was happening away from the cameras, the footage alone cannot establish what either person was thinking.
Meghan's reaction to that attention was also heavily discussed. Critics argued that the real problem was not simply the interaction itself, but the fact that it became visible to millions of people.
Stay away from this woman. She is going to draw you into her drama and her ego, because I can't imagine that this man would have even thought twice about having to write a statement. I think it came from Megyn, her people, and he was forced to do it because I think Megyn was just so mortified that, oh my goodness, an A-lister is snuppy and now it's in slow-mo and people are really seeing what happened. You know, I mean, come on, Megyn. Like, she is nothing but trouble because people can't, I think David in this moment, he can't help but feel the way he feels because I think he sees how Megyn treats Harry. I think it was not intentional so much, but I think it was just a feeling that, oh, here she goes again. She's trying to, you know.
That interpretation fits a recurring theme in commentary surrounding Megyn, where public perception often becomes almost as important as the original event. A small social interaction can be transformed into a debate about status, influence, and relationships, because the people involved are already under extraordinary scrutiny. The Foster episode therefore became another example of how Meghan's appearances can generate competing interpretations, with supporters seeing ordinary social behavior, while critics see evidence of calculated positioning or interpersonal conflict. The reality may be considerably less dramatic, but once an image or video begins circulating widely, controlling the narrative becomes extremely difficult.
Completely like dumbfounded by this woman and who she is and what she does. She's supposed to be someone who is so highly elevated in her status, but yet she comes off so below that, so beneath what she's supposed to be. And to me, Megyn just is someone that is making such a mark on history in such a wrong way. I mean, I just think it's very sad. It really is, because she has so much potential and she's thrown it all away, essentially, you know? But
the same pattern was then applied to Meghan's relationship with other members of the celebrity world. The discussion suggested that some people who were once publicly associated with her may no longer appear as closely connected.
Serena Williams and Beyoncé were mentioned in the wider conversation, along with Jamie Kern-Lima, who had previously been described as a particularly strong supporter of Megyn. The suggestion was that Megyn's circle of high-profile friendships had become smaller or less visible, although the transcript did not establish that these individuals had formally ended their relationships with her. Celebrity friendships naturally change over time, and the absence of public appearances together is not proof of a falling out. Nevertheless, the perception of a shrinking social circle became another part of the broader scrutiny surrounding Megyn's public life, especially as her business, media projects, and relationship with the royal family continued to attract attention.
By this point, the controversies were no longer isolated stories. They were being interpreted together as part of a much larger debate about Megyn's image, her commercial ambitions, and her relationships with influential people.
The Althorp controversy focused on privacy and Diana's legacy, while the As Ever debate centered on business performance and the difficulty of converting celebrity attention into sustained consumer demand. The David Foster episode brought the discussion back to personal relationships and the way seemingly ordinary interactions can become major stories when cameras are present. Taken separately, each incident has significant gaps and competing interpretations, but together they explain why Megyn continues to attract such intense scrutiny whenever she appears in public.
To speak to her, it was abundantly clear. We know there's not much love lost between them. She hates the fact, not that he snubbed her, but that the world has seen that he snubbed her. So forces him into this embarrassing statement to People magazine. And again, the lesson to other high-profile individuals, P. Dinah, is just, this is why we don't get involved. Exactly. It's mortifying.
The central issue is no longer simply what happened during one particular appearance, but how every new event fits into the much larger public perception surrounding the Duchess of Sussex.
Taken together, these controversies reveal why Meghan Markle remains such a closely watched public figure. The debate is no longer limited to one photograph, one product launch, or one uncomfortable celebrity interaction.
And I think that's why Prince William is a hard no on letting these two back in, but I think the king is going to allow it. And right now he's in charge, and it's just going to be incredible to see them try to go back over there and re-ingratiate themselves as royals in a country they called racist. Right? How are they going to spin this magical turnaround where the family is racist, they said, the country is racist, and they were so nasty that they actually were telegraphing they might not love their children if they were too dark. And on top of that, when Meghan Markle was allegedly suicidal, they didn't want to get her any help. Like, how do you walk back in and be like, just kidding, we're fine, we're good, I love them?
Each episode has added another layer to the public conversation surrounding Meghan, Harry, and their place within the wider royal story. The Althorp controversy brought questions about privacy and Diana's legacy, while the As Ever figures created debate over whether public attention is translating into sustainable commercial performance. The David Foster event then demonstrated how quickly even a brief social interaction can become a major story when cameras and celebrity scrutiny are involved.
Anything that Megyn does, because she is going to use it to her own benefit, and you just never know, what is going to be next, because she's always plotting and planning something.
Yeah, and I guess the thing is, P. Dinah, she's probably realized, okay, this is my one opportunity. I may not get access back to Althorp after this. We've got to get enough content for the documentary that's planned for next year, but also we have to put out to the world that we have this material.
None of these episodes by themselves proves the strongest accusations made by critics, but together they explain why virtually every new development involving Megyn receives such intense examination.
The business question may ultimately be the easiest one to answer because financial performance can eventually be measured. Website traffic is only part of the picture.
The figures discussed in the reporting showed a substantial decline in As Ever website visits between January and July 2026, but traffic alone cannot establish revenue, profitability, or the amount of unsold inventory.
This woman has $5 million worth of stock to sell. I mean, you understand what I'm saying, right? With 40,000 visits, a tiny proportion of them will actually turn into one-time customers, let alone returning customers. The reason I think it's good that Jack Royston has done this empirical evidence and why I've spelt it all out is because effectively it's painting a picture, P. Dinah, of a business in deep
The company's own position was that meaningful performance should be judged through customers, repeat purchases, and sales rather than page views. That leaves the most important commercial questions unanswered unless As Ever eventually releases more detailed figures. Until then, claims about millions of dollars in losses should remain clearly identified as estimates or commentary rather than confirmed financial results.
Choreograph where I'm supposed to be. This is my event. Who are you? And it's an insult. Okay. So there's a thing about Megyn that brings out the worst in you. And sometimes it's not intentional, but it's just like the feeling overtakes you and your emotions are seen for the whole world. And now you're caught up into a media storm because, of how you're feeling, which you probably didn't mean that to happen, but it happened. And now you're having to write a statement, exclusive articles now about, what was really happening, which we know is a lie. So now you're forced to lie about your feelings. Megyn is a disaster. Okay, just don't invite her. Stay away because you will be caught up into her ghetto drama.
The Althorp controversy has a similar problem. There is a major difference between what was reportedly observed and what commentators believe Megyn intended.
The transcript presented claims from Megyn Kelly about an unnamed insider who allegedly confirmed the couple's location and described Charles Spencer's alleged wishes regarding Diana's grave privacy. Those claims generated strong reactions from Kelly, Maureen Callahan, and others, but the transcript itself does not provide a direct statement from Charles Spencer confirming the allegations. That means the public can discuss the reported incident and its implications, but conclusions about Megyn's intentions or Spencer's private feelings require considerably more evidence. In stories involving the royal family, that distinction is especially important because speculation can quickly become accepted as fact once it is repeated often enough.
This same caution applies to the David Foster controversy. A few seconds of footage can create an impression, but an impression is not necessarily proof.
What is documented in the discussion is that Megyn and Harry attended Foster's anniversary event. Pia Toscano described the positive interaction with the couple, and footage involving Foster and Megyn attracted criticism.
It's like truly unbelievable. It's truly incredible. Charles is, I think Diana had it right all those years ago in that Panorama interview with Martin Bashir, which was problematic for many reasons. I mean, we now know she was duped into it, but I think she told the truth when she said Charles was not up to the top job. And at the time it was written off as
Beyond those observable details, claims about hidden motives, private disagreements, or pressure behind subsequent public statements remain interpretations. That does not make the story uninteresting. It simply means the strongest conclusions should be separated from what can actually be established.
For viewers trying to understand the controversy rather than simply choose a side, that distinction is essential.
Ultimately, Megyn's public image is being shaped by two forces at the same time: what she actually does and what people believe those actions mean. That is why even ordinary moments can become part of a much bigger narrative.
A woman scorned trying to, knife her ex-husband who left her for another woman. But I think she knew him, and I think she knew exactly right. He did not have the strength or the spine. Harry and Megyn have done nothing short of attempt to bring down the British monarchy. That's what they were trying to do. They were trying to destroy it. Those two stew and marinate in rage and resentment. And I completely think William is in the right here. I think William also knows the resentment and the jealousy that Megyn harbors towards Catherine, Princess of Wales. Every time Catherine does something, wears something, issues a photograph, Megyn single white females her. It's beyond creepy.
Yes.
Her connection to Princess Diana gives almost every royal-related appearance an additional emotional dimension, while her transition into the lifestyle business world places her under a different kind of scrutiny. As Ever has to compete on products, pricing, customer loyalty, and distribution, not simply celebrity recognition, while Harry and Meghan's public projects continue to be judged against their complicated relationship with the royal family.
That's what I think.
Exactly. You will be caught up into her ghetto drama. Exactly. And who wants that? Well, actually, P. Dinah, a whole load of people don't want that, including some very surprising names. Some of them we know, Serena Williams, Beyonce, but perhaps the most surprising, her previously.
The controversies discussed here therefore sit at the intersection of celebrity culture, royal history, commercial branding, and modern social media scrutiny. And as long as those four worlds continue to overlap, Meghan's public actions will remain open to intense interpretation from supporters, critics, and everyone watching somewhere in between.
If you found this breakdown useful, share it with someone who follows the ongoing Harry and Meghan story. Leave a comment with your view on the Althorp controversy, the as-ever business figures, or the David Foster incident.
And if you want more detailed coverage of major developments surrounding Meghan Markle, Prince Harry, and the royal family, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you do not miss the next update. And remember that the most important part of stories like this is separating confirmed information from commentary and speculation. The facts, the numbers, and the public record matter because they allow everyone to reach their own conclusion without relying entirely on someone else's interpretation.